Imagine getting a credit card in the mail that you never asked for. It sounds strange, right? Well, the act of mailing thousands of unsolicited credit cards was the beginning of Visa. And you have to go back to the 1950s to see how it all started. Before 1958, the concept of charge cards was very well established. But everything changed when Bank of America launched the BankAmericard in 1958 in Fresno, California. The BankAmericard is the first major general purpose credit card. General purpose means it's accepted at a range of merchants, so it's not store specific. It also allows you to revolve credit, meaning you can make monthly payments rather than paying the card in full at the end of the month. Bank of America jumped into the deep end of the pool with an innovative card drop, where they mailed real, unsolicited, working, activated credit cards directly to consumers who didn't ask for them. Live usable cards, along with an agreement that said the consumer was responsible for any fraud. Basically, if someone took the card out of the mail and used it, you were responsible for that debt. Although consumers pushed back, and as a side note, the ability to mail unsolicited cards is no longer legal. That was made illegal in the 1970s. This drop came with a lot of challenges, including political pressure from all the issues that it caused in California, very high fraud rates, and a very high rate of unpaid accounts. 22% of accounts in the early days went unpaid. So, in other words, if this product were launched today, we would probably just call it buy now, pay later. Still, the strategy worked, and by the end of the next year, 1959, Bank of America had issued 2 million cards and was accepted at 20,000 merchants across California. It grew very, very quickly. At first, this card, called the BankAmericard, was limited to California due to regulatory restrictions. But in 1965, 7 years after its launch, Bank of America offered licensing agreements to banks outside of California who wanted to issue a credit card and onboard merchants themselves, paving the way for national expansion of this new network that they've created. And until this time, the product continued to be owned by Bank of America. However, all that changed when a man named D. Hock, the head of a group of BankAmericard licensee banks, suggested forming an association to manage the system centrally while allowing banks to compete independently. This led to the creation of National BankAmericard Inc. (NBI) in 1970, moving ownership of this card network away from Bank of America in the US, but allowed Bank of America to continue licensing the BankAmericard outside of the US. So basically, this association owned the BankAmericard product in the US, and multiple changes occurred from that point. And by 1976, the BankAmericard issuers under the NBI and the disparate global issuers that were brought in by Bank of America were pulled into one umbrella as a network and rebranded as Visa. Based on what I've read, the decision was made because the word Visa is more universally recognizable than the word America, which could be seen as a negative in some countries. Basically, Bank Americard might not fly in places that refer to soccer as football and don't even realize that football is actually a game where you carry the ball with your hand. The company or association was gaining a lot of traction. It was closing in on its biggest competitor, MasterCard. Today, Visa has surpassed MasterCard in terms of global reach and cardholder numbers, but back then, MasterCard, which later rebranded as MasterCard, was larger with more issuing banks and more cards in the market. Over the years, Visa continued to innovate. The 1980s saw the introduction of travel loyalty programs and premium card products like the Visa Signature Card that you know today. And fast forward to 2008, Visa made its IPO on the New York Stock Exchange, transitioning from an association owned by its member banks and issuers to a publicly traded company. Visa is a story of innovation, adaptation, and global expansion. Even after all of its early challenges and growing pains, BankAmericard, now Visa, is a leader in the financial services industry and has moved well beyond cards, credit cards, and gone to support a range of payment methods to become one of the largest and most powerful financial services companies in the world.